Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Callum Quinn here with another new episode of Sever the Plot Thread. Today I wanted to talk about limits and how important it is to know yours. Now you may have noticed I look a little bit different if you're watching the video, and that's because I thought I'd test out my animated avatar. Let me know in the comments if you like him. Anyway, I was doing some thinking recently. I've been going through a lot of struggles with mental health. I've had them my whole life, but this basically means that, and I've talked about it a lot more in my webcomic, Atypical Arts, but the basic gist is what I have the ability to do, my limits as a person, my emotional limits, my artistic limits, my ability to produce art on a schedule, pretty much change from day to day and change from week to week and year to year, which is true of all artists. We all change in what we're able to do, but it can be a little more exaggerated for those of us with mental health issues. And I basically just wanted to put this out in the open so that those of you struggling with this are aware of it and have some advice from someone who is also aware of it, and maybe make people who don't understand it as much aware as well. So for me, I started out drawing Siblings of Steel, the original webcomic, the one before I rebooted it. I started doing that in early 2020. And I just really wanted to do a webcomic. I'd wanted to tell a story for a long time, and this was what I finally decided to do. This story of the Forsyth, Siblings of Steel, all that cool stuff. And at first those first few pages were actually thumbnailed on my sketchbook paper, and then I drew over them with my iPad using Procreate. I really didn't know pretty much anything about digital art, except that it was digital and you had to use an Apple Pencil. I've drawn pretty much every comic I've ever made on Procreate with an Apple Pencil and an iPad, and it works pretty well for me. I'm really happy with the results. But when I started, it was about 1 page a week. I wanted to get 25 pages done before I released the first one, and I spent months and months building up to 25 pages. I did a ton of research, reading, blog posts on creating webcomics, on writing, on managing an online brand. I did a bunch of research onto different platforms to publish on, and just how to make comic books and write comics and draw them. And my original output was about 1 page a week, sometimes less. And after, those 25 weeks were up, I was getting pretty good. I had started doing 2 pages a week. And what I found was really helpful was I batched the comics. So basically, I worked on a couple pages at the same time. I would do 2 pages at once, so do the thumbnails for both of them, and then do the inking for both of them, and then do the lettering for both of them, and so on. And eventually I was doing 4 comics at once, and then 10 comics at once, and it just kind of went on from there. And this worked for me at the time. I feel like it really helped me speed up and get a handle on practicing the different skills you need to be good at making a comic by just having a long stretch where I could practice one skill and see what worked for me. But then as I got more experienced in 2022, in around June, I got to the point where I wanted to reboot. I felt like I knew so little about doing the comic at this point. In about June of 2022, I got to the point where I knew so much about doing comics now. I had learned so much. I had grown as an artist and a writer. And Siblings of Steel was something I had tried my best to plan out, but I just didn't know what I was doing when I started it. So a lot of it was off the cuff, and I ended up, adding things to the story that I really didn't like later, and the art was really old and janky. I'm very proud of those 110 pages that I did. I think that's a huge accomplishment, especially for someone's first webcomic, but I'm glad I made the decision to reboot. I'm working on issue 4 of the reboot right now. That'll be, once that's finished, that'll put the new one up into the 80s, and that's really cool too. That's a really big accomplishment. So that's exciting. But to get on with my story, I rebooted in June of 2022. Pretty much spent the rest of. No, would that have been 2021? No. Pretty much spent the rest of the year working on the reboot and drawing pages and rewriting the story and doing all of this upfront work that I was now very good at to make the first arc and to plan out the whole series. And in January, I released the first issue, which was 22 pages. I feel like it was a big success. I'm really proud of that accomplishment. I think if you compared those 22 pages to the original 22 pages, you would see a world of difference. The same way I would compare issue 3 to issue 1 now as just leaps and bounds better. And I decided to release the pages separately rather than as one whole issue, but to only release the first pages after I'd completed the entire issue. That way, I never stopped posting mid-issue. And this was better for me creatively, and I feel like it really helped that I could just have a burst of time where every day I was updating on Webtoon, I was updating my website, I was updating on Instagram or Twitter or whatever I decided to use. I think that was really beneficial, and it got me more views than it might have otherwise. And a big breakthrough for me, which came about 4 months ago, was I realized I could start drawing pages one at a time without batching them. I could get a page of Siblings of Steel finished in about an hour. And this was amazing. This meant I could basically do a page a day, and in less than a month I'd have an issue complete. Just counting drawing and writing and everything that comes after the writing process, basically. Which was really cool. It meant I could get Siblings of Steel done a lot faster. But unfortunately what happened is once I'd gotten issue 3 finished and I'd gone on to issue 4, we went on vacation, me and my family, and that threw off my creative routine. So I didn't draw for that week, basically, drew a little bit. And then when we got back home, I started to get back into it, and then just something happened. I've been on page 6. Page 6 is done of issue 4, and it's just been really hard, like a good 3 or 4 weeks of just not being able to draw consistently. I am very fortunate to get pretty much any drawing done, and that's no coincidence because I've been really depressed lately, and my ADHD has been really bad, and it just makes me feel sad that I can't do a page in an hour anymore. But I guess the point I'm making here is I'm not going to just say, well, I'm a terrible person and I suck as an artist and I'm going to give up or I'm going to beat myself up but keep trying. Instead, I've been thinking over, well, what have I been doing in my life since this started? What could have led up to this? Was doing a page a day just going to burn me out anyway? I think maybe that's possible. I would point the blame more towards feeling like I needed to direct my creative attention towards too many different projects, and that burned me out and left me feeling unsatisfied because when I was working on the comic, I felt bad because I wasn't working on this YouTube channel. And when I was working on this YouTube channel, I felt bad because I wasn't working on a different comic. And when I wasn't doing that, I was feeling bad because I wasn't doing NaNoWriMo. And it just goes on, and it's like, I mean, I'm all for branching out and trying new things. That's what I was trying to do. I'm proud that I tried NaNoWriMo this year. I'm proud that I tried developing a second webcomic. But I think I just need to cut back, honestly. This YouTube channel, especially, I think, I've found a good groove just releasing a podcast episode every 2 weeks. Minimal editing. Just me putting out some good vibes into the world, giving some nice advice, or, giving the occasional interview to that author's fan base. And, maybe drawing in some fans for me, too. That makes me happy. I get to talk to a lot of my creative role models, and I get to share the knowledge I've learned about comicking with you guys. That makes me really happy. So I think going from here on out, and of course this could change, but, that's life. That's the creative process. I think from here on out, we're just going to say maybe the occasional short on YouTube. But for now, what it's going to be is one podcast episode every 2 weeks-ish, mental health notwithstanding. And I'm going to just try to get back on that. I'm going to try to reframe in my brain to really enjoy taking my time with Siblings of Steel. What I really hope is that I can get that fourth issue done by December 31st. And then, it goes on to Patreon for a month, and then it starts posting to you guys. But I would really love to have posted the first issue in January and completed the fourth issue in December. That would just make a really nice wrap up to my year. I could say I did, 4 issues in a year, which won't be quite true, but true enough. That would just be really nice. I don't know if I'll meet that goal. I'll try my best. This might not be the best pitch to go read Siblings of Steel, but I think it's worth your time. It's something I'm not going to give up on. I'm really proud of the progress I've made on it. I really just love doing this, and it's very rewarding for me creatively, and that's what I want to focus on going forward. I've built up a really good routine. That's something that I feel like for artists and writers, creatives in general, is really important to do a lot of tinkering with your routine until you find one that you're really happy with and you can be consistent with it. Or if it's really hard for you to be consistent, just, try your best. And if you can do that and do it consistently, you'll slowly build those muscles, those creative muscles in your brain and in your drawing hand and all that good stuff. I feel like I can draw really well, and ironically, the thing that flipped that switch for me was I stopped caring about how the drawing would come out, which sounds stupid and sounds like that'll never work. In fact, when I was given that advice, I was like, that's stupid and it'll never work. I didn't say that to the person, but I tried it and I was like, oh my gosh. Once I stopped having like an expectation for the art I was doing, I was way happier with the result, and I actually feel like it allowed me to lean into my own unique style and come up with better art. So that's another good bit of advice for you guys. So yeah, going forward, I am going to be focusing on Siblings of Steel, taking my time. This YouTube channel will get a new podcast episode every 2 weeks or so, unless something crazy comes up. So you can expect that. Look forward to that. I would love to hear comments from you guys if what I've said has helped you or inspired you. If you're working on a creative project and it's out in the wilderness, if it's out in the wild, if it's on the internet, please send me a link. I'd love to check it out. I am really excited. I just wanted to record this episode real quick. It's probably going to come out pretty short, but I love doing this, and I wanted to test out the new avatar. I've had it for a while, but I wasn't sure when to use it. And I'm just going to be working on Siblings of Steel. I'm going to be bettering my craft. I have an interview with Jimmy Gownley, the author of Amelia Rules, all recorded and ready to go out. I just need to get the thumbnail done. So look forward to that next episode. And I will see you all next time. Check out my Patreon for early access to Siblings of Steel and to these videos. And check out my webcomic Siblings of Steel, the story of 2 robot cops going around the universe solving crimes and fighting bad guys. It's a real fun sci-fi mystery adventure. It's on my website. It's on Webtoons. It's on Instagram. All the links are in the description. Thanks for watching, and take it easy, Internet. See you next time.